You're in danger. Pretend I'm your husband.
Maya Thompson heard the whisper before she fully understood it. Low, urgent, the kind of voice that bends your spine towards safety without asking permission. She was on the Riverwalk at dusk, earbuds dangling, a half-empty takeout cup in her hand, when a man with a weathered leather jacket stepped from the shadows and said, plain as breath, "You're in danger. Pretend I'm your husband." The words landed like a command and a promise all at once. Before we dive into the story, I want to know, where are you watching this from? Drop your city and country in the comments right now. Are you watching from your living room in Texas, your kitchen in London, your office break room in Canada? Let me know, because this story about courage, community, and protection, it's universal. It crosses borders, and I want to see how far this message reaches today. All right, let's go back. Maya was 23, a barista by night, and a part-time photography student by day. She kept to herself mostly, the sort of person who memorized bus schedules and the faces of regulars at the coffee shop. That evening she was returning from a late shift, the Riverwalk emptying into long shadows and the smell of river mud. She hadn't wanted to take the shortcut behind the warehouse, but the rain had started and she had convinced herself it would be faster. The man who intercepted her introduced himself as Cole Ryder. He looked older than his sun-leathered face let on, hair threaded with gray, a crescent scar on his cheek, patches on his jacket that named places and loyalties. He smelled faintly of motor oil and lemon soap. Despite the intimidating silhouette, something steady in his posture made Maya pause. He didn't block her path like a threat. He angled himself between her and the darker strip of alleys. "Why would I trust you?" Maya asked. Her voice was small, but not meek. "You don't have to. You just have to do exactly what I say for 3 blocks. Smile. Walk like you own the sidewalk. If someone looks, make it obvious we're together." He kept his tone flat, professional, not theatrical, not leering, just an instruction meant to keep her heart from exploding. She swallowed and forced a smile, the kind she used when someone tipped too little. They walked. The city seemed to hold its breath. A black sedan rolled past slow enough she could count the dents. 2 men in the back seat kept their heads turned toward them. Maya felt her pulse humming at the base of her neck. Cole's hand, a large, rough thing, brushed the small of her back, guiding her into the glow of a lamppost, as if he had conducted safety into existence. When the sedan turned the corner and the tension eased, Maya realized she had been holding her breath so long her lungs ached. Her fingers found the small pepper spray in her pocket, and she laughed at herself for the tremor. "Why did you help me?" she asked, genuinely curious now. Cole didn't give a pious answer. He told her an abbreviated story. He had been passing, smelled trouble like an old dog smells thunder, couldn't walk by. He didn't say he was a Hell's Angel, though the jacket's patches hinted at that history. He didn't need to. The jacket said it for him. Lives lived loud, alliances carved into leather. But there was an undercurrent of something else in his voice. Regret. Care. An old promise that hummed beneath the surface. When they reached the crosswalk outside her building, Maya hesitated. She had questions she wanted to throw at him like thrown pebbles. Why would he risk himself? What did he want? But they felt small and sharp against a bigger worry. If he was gone, would the men in the sedan come back? "Cole," she said instead, the name tasting foreign and safe. "What do I call you if this is my life now?" He gave a quick half-smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Call me Cole, and for tonight," he said, leaning in a fraction, "pretend I'm your husband." She laughed then, a short, breathless sound that tasted like relief and fear. "Pretend you're what?" But he had already let go, melting back into the street's grain, and the lamplight seemed to reassert itself as reality. Maya unlocked her building, shoulders tight, thinking of how small things, a sentence, a hand, a step to the side, could split your life into before and after. She carried the memory of his voice into the stairwell, into her apartment, and onto the couch where her phone buzzed with a message from her mother asking if she'd made it home. That night, sleep didn't come easy. She scrolled through social feeds, thumb hovering over a search bar, wondering whether to look up the name patch on his jacket or to ignore the tug of curiosity. Outside, a motorcycle rumbled down Mason Street, low, deliberate, and Maya sat up, listening to the echo like a pulse. Little did she know, The whisper that had kept her safe for 3 blocks would be the first stitch in a story that pulled her whole family into a past they thought buried. When Cole slipped back into her life the next morning with a rough-smiled apology and a coffee for her mother, everything began to unravel. And as Maya sat in the quiet of her apartment, clutching her phone and replaying Cole's warning in her mind, she had no idea that before sunrise, she'd open her door to a discovery that would make that whispered sentence, "Pretend I'm your husband," far more than a fleeting act of protection.
Maya didn't sleep much after the whisper that had changed the direction of her night. She drifted in and out of uneasy dreams, each one circling back to the same image. Cole's scarred face, half bathed in a street lamp's glow, his voice low, urgent, protective. She convinced herself by dawn that she'd exaggerated everything. The sedan, the alley, the way Cole had seemed to sense danger before she even felt it. It all felt like something that belonged in a thriller movie, not her ordinary life. At 7:12 a.m., a sharp knock jolted her awake. She shot upright, heart pounding. A neighbor? Package delivery? No, nobody knocked like that. 3 firm taps. Intentional. Familiar. She tiptoed to the peephole. Cole Ryder stood on the other side of her door, holding a paper tray with 2 coffees. Maya stepped back. Her pulse stuttered. She hesitated before opening the door just an inch. "You're up," Cole said softly, like he had expected her to be shaken. "Good. You shouldn't be alone." "Excuse me?" Maya blinked. "You followed me home?" "Escorted," he corrected gently, "and I stayed outside for a while. That car circled the block twice after you went in." Her stomach dropped. "Why? Why would they be watching me?" Cole exhaled, the kind of breath a man takes when deciding how much truth to reveal. "Because you walked down a street you weren't supposed to, and because they mistook you for someone else." That doesn't make sense." "It will." He handed her one of the coffees. "Can I come in? 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." Her instinct screamed no, but her curiosity, and if she was honest, her fear, whispered, "Let him in." She unlocked the chain. Cole walked in like someone trained to assess a room quickly. His gaze skimmed corners, windows, exits. Only after he finished a silent sweep did he relax his shoulders. Maya noticed the way he positioned himself between her and the doorway, protecting her automatically. "Okay," said Maya. "Explain. Why did you tell me to pretend you were my husband last night?" Cole rubbed the back of his neck. "Because the men in that car, they don't usually approach women unless they think the woman is alone and unprotected. They're part of a small outlaw crew that broke off from the Angels years ago. Dangerous men. Light hair, tattoos of a rested serpent." Maya's heart jumped. She remembered the man in the back seat, a coiled snake inked on his hand. "Why would they care about me?" she asked. "I don't know yet, but I know who they thought you were." He pulled his phone from his pocket. On the screen was a blurry security photo of a young woman walking into a gas station. Same height, similar hair, similar jacket. But the face wasn't Maya's. "They've been hunting her," Cole said, "and last night, from a distance, they thought you were her." "Why are they hunting her?" Cole met her eyes. "Because she used to be married to their leader, and she ran." A cold prickle crept up Maya's spine. "So they think I'm her?" "Not anymore. They got close enough to see your face. That's why they slowed down. That's why I stepped in." Maya wrapped her arms around herself. "What happens now?" "It depends," Cole said carefully. "If they think you know something, if they think you saw something," he shook his head, "they'll test how easy you are to scare. They'll watch you, wait for you to slip, and if they think you're a problem—" He didn't finish, and that silence said everything. "So what do I do?" Cole's expression softened. "You don't do anything. You let me handle it." "Why?" she asked, voice cracking. "Why would you help someone you don't even know?" The question seemed to hit him somewhere deep. He looked away, jaw tightening. Because you're not the first young woman I found in the middle of this mess. And the last time, I didn't get there fast enough." Maya swallowed hard. The weight behind his words was heavy, real, haunting. She stood there, coffee cooling in her hand, realizing her life had tilted into something she didn't choose, but something she couldn't step back from. And while she didn't know much about Cole Ryder, she knew one thing for certain. This man had seen things, lost things, that turned him into a shield long before he ever whispered to her on that dark street. And when her phone buzzed next to her elbow with a message from an unknown number that simply said, "You should have walked with him again today," she understood she wasn't imagining anything. Another knock sounded downstairs in the apartment hallway. This time, it wasn't Cole. And the shadow waiting on the other side of that door would be the moment that pushed the truth wide open.
The knock came again. Not rushed, not nervous. Slow, deliberate. Like whoever stood outside wanted Maya to feel each separate vibration travel through the floorboards and into her bones. Cole motioned for her to stay behind him. He moved toward the door with the same silence and precision she'd seen soldiers use in documentaries. Weight evenly distributed, shoulders loose, hand hovering near his belt where a sheathed pocket blade rested. His eyes went dark and focused, as if a switch had flipped inside him. "Don't say a word," he murmured. Maya's breath clicked in her throat. She backed up until her shoulder touched the kitchen counter. Another knock. Then a man's voice, muffled by the door. "Miss Thompson? Maya Thompson? Open up for a moment." She felt her pulse slam against her ribs. Cole didn't even breathe. The man on the other side spoke again, this time calmer, rehearsed, like someone used to gaining entry with tone alone. "I just need to ask you a few questions regarding an incident downtown last night." A pause. Then a police badge slipped under the door, slid across the wood like a playing card. Maya stared. The badge was real, unless it was stolen, or faked, or used to force entry. Cole studied it for 3 seconds, then whispered, "That badge number isn't local. Don't move." Her throat tightened. "Then who is he?" "One of Dante Ward's boys, pretending to be law enforcement." Dante? Maya searched her memory. The man whose crew was in the car last night? Cole nodded once. Their leader. A chill rolled up Maya's spine. This was the same Dante whose tattooed men had mistaken her for a runaway wife? The same man whose group trailed Cole's every step? The doorknob jiggled violently. Cole reacted faster than fear could bloom in her chest. He grabbed her wrist, gently but firmly, and guided her backward into the hallway. "Get in the bathroom. Lock it." I'm not leaving you out here," she whispered. He gave her a small, reassuring smile. More sadness than confidence. "You're not leaving me. You're giving me room to handle this." Her breath trembled, but she obeyed. She slipped into the bathroom and turned the lock with shaking fingers. Through the door, she heard the man outside speak again, this time impatient. "Maya, open the door. We're trying to help you." That was the moment she heard it, the faint scrape of metal on metal. He was picking the lock. "Cole," she whispered through the door. "Don't say anything," he breathed back. The door's deadbolt clicked, not from the inside, from the outside. The knob twisted. Then everything happened fast. A violent crash, the door burst open, heavy footsteps, a slam, a grunt of pain, something toppled, a drawer crashed to the floor, a body hit a wall. Then silence. Maya felt her knees weaken. She pressed her ear to the bathroom door. "Cole?" she whispered. No answer. She tried again, louder this time, voice cracking. "Cole, say something!" Still nothing. Her fingers scrambled at the lock. Panic hollowed her stomach. She flung the bathroom door open and froze in the doorway, breath trapped in her throat. The stranger lay on the floor unconscious, face down, his fake badge lying beside him, but she barely noticed him, her eyes locked on Cole. He stood with his back against the far wall, hands braced behind him, chest rising and falling in short, shallow bursts. His knuckles were bloody. A bruise was already forming across his cheekbone. But what scared her most wasn't the injury, it was the look. He wasn't scared. He was furious. Seeing him like that, anger banked, jaw clenched, breathing ragged, felt like standing near a dormant volcano, controlled for the moment, but capable of erupting without warning. Cole finally lifted his eyes to hers. "You can't stay here anymore," he said quietly. "What? Cole, He gently wiped blood from his knuckles on a dish towel. "They found you too fast. Much too fast." He brushed past the unconscious man and began pulling open cabinets, retrieving anything that looked remotely useful. Her small first aid kit, her car keys, a spare jacket. "Where are we going?" Maya asked, heart racing. "Somewhere they won't track us. Somewhere they won't expect." She swallowed. "You mean out of the city?" Cole finally met her gaze fully. There was no hesitation in his eyes, no doubt. "They think you're connected to the woman they're hunting. They think you know something. And now that one of them broke into your home, Dante will assume you're worth the effort." "So what do I do?" she whispered. He stepped closer. Not too close, just enough so she could feel the gravity of the moment. "You stay with me." Maya's breath tangled in her chest. "And from this point on," Cole added, voice low and steady, "if anyone asks who I am, you don't hesitate." He reached down, picked up her jacket, and placed it gently around her shoulders. "You say I'm your husband." And in the space between those last words, before Maya could respond, the unconscious man on the floor stirred, a twitch, a groan, a foreshadowing, reminding her that the danger wasn't done with them yet, not even close.
The man on Maya's floor groaned louder this time. Cole's entire posture changed, shoulders tightening, jaw clenching, hand drifting toward the small blade clipped to his belt. For the first time since she'd met him, Maya realized something painful and terrifying. He wasn't just protecting her because he'd randomly stumbled into trouble. He was protecting her because he'd been here before. "Grab your bag," Cole ordered, voice gravel thick. "Only essentials, 5 minutes." Maya didn't argue. She swung into her room and shoved clothes into her backpack with trembling hands. Hoodies, jeans, 2 pairs of shoes, chargers. But her mind spiraled as she packed. Cole said they mistook her for someone else. He said they hunted the woman. He said they'd think she knew something. But none of that explained why someone pretending to be law enforcement had been willing to break into her home before sunrise. Who was this woman they thought she was? What had she run from? And what did Cole know about her? Questions piled inside her chest like wet sand. But when she returned to the living room, backpack straps digging into her shoulders, those questions froze. The intruder was gone. Not gone like escaped. Gone like Cole had dragged him out of sight. "What did you do?" Maya whispered. Cole didn't look at her as he slid his knife back into the sheath. "He's unconscious. He won't wake for another hour." "Where is he?" "Hallway." She opened her mouth, but Cole held up a hand. "You don't need to see it." The words were meant to protect her, but they only shook her more. She followed him toward the door anyway. Not all the way, just far enough to see a set of shoe soles sticking out from around the corner. Her stomach tightened. This wasn't a movie anymore. It wasn't a whisper in the night, or a mistaken identity, or an unlucky encounter. Someone had broken into her home. Someone had tried to force their way to her. And Cole, the stranger, stood here bleeding and breathing hard because he had fought for her. "Where are we going?" she asked quietly. Cole double-checked through the peephole, then opened the door cautiously. Out of the building and straight to the garage out back. "Garage? Why?" "Because I don't take my bike out front. I don't park it where people can track patterns." Patterns. He was thinking like a man hunted. Or a man who hunted others. Maya followed him into the cold hallway. Cole paused long enough to drag the unconscious man fully away from the apartment door, ensuring no neighbors saw him too easily. Then they moved. Down the stairwell, across the back exit, into the narrow alley behind the building. The air smelled like dew and early morning gasoline. Cole's motorcycle sat under a tarp, matte black, the kind that didn't reflect light.
He pulled the cover away and strapped her bag to the back. "You ever been on a bike?" "No." He handed her a helmet. "Hold on tight. Don't lean unless I tell you to." Maya slid the helmet on, hands trembling. When she climbed onto the seat behind him, her chest nearly pressed against his back. She could feel the strength in him, contained, controlled, like a tethered storm. "Cole?" she said softly. "Where exactly are we going?" "A place outside the city limits," he replied, adjusting her grip so she held on to him more securely. "A place nobody will think to look." "And after that?" He hesitated, just for a breath, but she felt it. "After that," he said, "we figure out why Dante's people came for you." The engine growled to life beneath them. Cole drove them through alleys and side streets, zigzagging like he knew every blind spot the city tried to hide. They didn't take the highway. He stayed to back roads, weaving through industrial zones until the buildings thinned out and the horizon widened. 30 minutes outside of town, the landscape shifted. Tall grass, crooked fences, an abandoned train line. Cole slowed the bike and turned down a dirt road that looked like it hadn't been used in years. Finally, a structure appeared. A weathered barn. Wood faded, roof patched with sheet metal. Safe house? Hideout? Whatever it was his. Cole killed the engine. "This is where we wait," he said. "For what?" Maya whispered. He removed his helmet. His eyes were steady, focused, dark with knowing. "For the next move." "Their next move?" "No," Cole said. "Ours." And as Maya stepped into the dim barn, she spotted something behind a pile of crates, a stack of old photographs, a woman with her same hair and same jacket, circled in red ink. Realized the woman Dante's men were hunting wasn't just someone who looked like her. She might be someone connected to Cole, and someone whose story wasn't finished.
The barn smelled of dust, old oil, and the faint sweetness of mothballs. Light slanted through cracks in the boards, painting the floor in long bars of gold that moved as the sun climbed. Cobwebs trembled in the draft. Maya pulled her jacket tighter, feeling the weight of the photographs like a physical thing pressing at the back of her mind. Cole set her bag down on a workbench and moved with quiet purpose, unwrapping tools in a battered metal box from beneath a tarp. He worked without hurry, like someone used to preparing for a storm that took its time to arrive. Finally, he sat across from her on an overturned crate and held a photograph between thumb and forefinger. The woman in the picture smiled in a way that made Maya's chest hurt. Warm, defiant, a laugh in her eyes. She wore the same jacket Maya had grabbed in her panic that morning. Someone had circled her face in red ink. On the back, a name was scrawled in a hurried hand. Elena Morales. "Elena," Cole said. The name was a stone he carried in his mouth. She was my anchor. She was the kind of person who lit things up around her and got everyone burned in the process. Maya studied the picture. "You said they were hunting a woman who used to be married to their leader," she said. "Is Elena married to Dante?" Cole's jaw tightened. "She used to be engaged, in a way. It's complicated. Dante loved control more than people. Elena, she wanted out." "And she ran?" Maya finished for him. "She did," Cole confirmed. "Disappeared without a trace. Some say she left the country, some say she's dead. Dante never believed either. He believes she betrayed him." Maya felt a cold prickle along her arms. So they were hunting Elena, not me. For the moment, but once they cataloged faces and routines, they widened their dragnet. You were an unfortunate coincidence. That changes as soon as someone realizes you might have ties, even accidental ones. He paused, watching her face. "There's more. Elena kept a small diary. She wrote things down. Names, places, events. If Dante thinks she kept proof of something he did, he'll use any scrap to find her. That diary could be the key. Maya's mind leapt. A diary? Proof? Where is it? Cole rubbed his temple. Last place she was seen alive was an old storage unit by the river. It burned down years ago. People said everything was destroyed. But I was there before the fire, and I think— He swallowed and searched for the right words. I think she hid something before they burned that place down. I haven't been able to confirm it. Maya's fingers went warm against the photo. You think Elena left something in that unit? I think she left a map of loose ends. Names, addresses, maybe even a name that connects her to whoever she trusted. If we can find that, we might understand what Dante is after. And— He stopped himself. The list of things left unsaid filled the silence. We can't just walk into a burned storage unit and expect to find a needle in a haystack. And if Dante's people are watching, it's a suicide mission. Cole nodded. Which is why we don't go alone. Who do we have? Maya asked, heart stuttering. Cole's mouth twitched. A friend, Naomi Price. She's a ghost in a city built of concrete. Codes, cameras, she'll find anything online and make it sing. She's good at making things invisible. And she'll help us? Maya asked. Naomi owes me, Cole said simply. Notice how his hand trembled when he lit a cigarette and then steadied. The tremor looked like a memory trying to escape. We leave at dusk. I'll drive. Naomi will handle the back end, maps, perimeter cameras, anything that screams, watch us. We go in quick and clean, get what we can. If the diary or whatever Elena left exists, Naomi will spot the trail. Maya's breath fogged in the cool air. If we find it, then what? Cole's eyes seemed to look past her, somewhere into a past he rarely visited. Then we understand. Maybe we get Elena's name cleared. Maybe we put Dante on notice. Maybe we discover something that means we have to run further than the county line. Maya swallowed. If Elena's writings connect to my life? The thought felt reckless, like walking on thin ice. Cole's face softened in a way she hadn't seen before. If Elena was hiding a secret link to your family, we'll find it. He reached across and set his palm on top of hers, calloused, solid. I won't let you fall through it alone. The barn doors creaked. A shaft of light slid between them as Cole peered toward the entrance. In the dirt beyond his boots, tire marks laced the ground, fresh. Someone had been here after them. Someone who had found their escape route and chosen to circle instead of vanish. Cole's jaw tightened. He stood up, the photograph still between his fingers. We go tonight. Naomi will be at the South Bridge at 9. Don't sleep, pack light. Bring only what you need. Maya looked at the circled face of Elena Morales one more time, the red ink stark against the glossy print. The name tugged at something buried inside her, a whisper of memory that didn't belong to her. As dusk slid into a bruised purple sky and they headed for the road, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that the photograph had been waiting for her to notice it all along. And when her phone buzzed with a single image from an unknown number, an old Polaroid snapshot of a woman standing in front of a shabby house, hand on the doorframe, and the name scrawled on the back matched her mother's maiden name, the world under her feet blurred, and she had to hold on tight to breathe. The Polaroid trembled in Maya's hand as the motorcycle rumbled beneath her. She'd looked at it a dozen times since it arrived on her phone, but each time hit harder than the last. The handwriting on the back was unmistakable. Her mother's maiden name, Carver, scrawled in faded blue ink. She didn't know the woman in the photo, yet she felt a pull toward her, the way gravity tugs at anything foolish enough to fall through open sky. The barn shrank behind them. The road stretched ahead.
They rode in silence toward the South Bridge, the world a blur of dim lights and cold wind. Every bend in the road tightened a knot in her stomach. When they finally reached the bridge, the night had thickened into a deep navy quiet. Streetlights reflected off the river below, silver streaks dancing with the current. A single black SUV sat parked under the shadow of the beams, windows tinted. A woman leaned against the hood. Short hair, leather jacket, cigarette burning between two fingers. She looked too calm for someone meeting fugitives in the dark. Naomi Price. She flicked her cigarette to the ground when she spotted them. "Well, if it isn't the man who swore he'd never call me," she said, smirking as Cole approached. Cole didn't return the smirk. "We need you." Naomi raised her brow. "Straight to the point. Must be bad." "It's getting worse," Cole said. "We need access to the Burns storage unit on River Road. Cameras, old permits, underground blueprints. You're the only one who can get us in without roadblocks." Naomi's gaze shifted to Maya. Her expression softened, but just barely. "So, this is the girl you risked your neck for." "I didn't ask him to risk anything," Maya said defensively. "You didn't have to." Naomi's eyes flitted to the bruise on Cole's cheek. "He only looks like that when he's protecting someone." Cole cleared his throat. "We don't have time." Naomi huffed out a breath, then opened the back door of the SUV. Inside, screens flickered with maps, camera feeds, archived files. She pulled a tablet from the dashboard and began tapping rapidly. River Road storage burned down 6 years ago. Arson ruled accidental, but, she zoomed in on a blueprint, there was a basement level not listed in public permits. Looks like it was added later. Someone wanted a hidden space. Cole stared at the blueprint. Elena never mentioned a basement. "She wouldn't," Naomi said. "This level was likely carved out illegally." Her fingers danced across the screen. "And look here, 2 units marked with owner initials. One belongs to an EM. Elena Morales," Maya whispered. "And the second?" Cole asked. Naomi zoomed further. The initials were SC. Maya's vision flickered, her voice came out thin. "SC, like Sarah Carver?" Naomi paused, studying her. "That name means something to you?" Maya swallowed hard. "My mother's maiden name is Carver. Sarah Carver." Cole turned toward her sharply. "You're sure?" "Yes," Maya whispered. "Why would her initials be connected to Elena's storage unit?" Naomi tapped again, pulling up registration details. Whoever owned those units paid cash, no ID on file. They shared a payment card, one used only twice, and according to this, she turned the screen toward them, both women accessed the storage units on the same day, 3 days before the fire. Maya felt the world tilt under her feet. "My mother never said she knew anyone named Elena." Cole's voice was low. She may have had reasons not to. Naomi sat back against the car and crossed her arms. "There's something else." She handed Maya a printed scan of another recovered photo, blurry but clear enough. 2 women stood side by side, half smiling at the camera. One was undeniably Elena. The other? Maya's breath caught, her fingers tightening on the edges. It was her mother, younger, wearing the same jacket Maya wore now. Her legs nearly gave out. "No," she whispered. This can't be." Cole steadied her. "Maya, she lied. My whole life she lied. Why?" Tears blurred her vision, but anger held her upright. "Why would she hide this from me?" Naomi shut the tablet. "You want answers? Then we go to the storage ruins. But we need to move now. If Dante's men have this information, they'll be heading there too." Cole nodded. "Maya, grab your things." Maya wiped her face. A storm roared inside her chest, anger clashing with fear, fear clashing with disbelief. The life she'd known, quiet, small, contained, had cracked open like a dropped mirror. As they approached the SUV, Naomi's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and her expression darkened. It's a traffic cam alert. The same black sedan from last night just crossed the east gate heading for River Road. Maya felt the wind shift. They're going to the storage ruins, Naomi said. Cole met Maya's gaze, his voice steady but urgent. If they get there first, whatever your mother and Elena hid, it's gone forever. And as Naomi hit the gas, the city lights shrinking behind them, Maya realized they weren't just racing for answers. They were racing for a past she never knew belonged to her and one that was suddenly closing in fast. The road to River Road storage twisted like a scar cut through the forgotten edges of the city, half paved, half gravel, lined with rusted fencing and dying trees that rattled in the wind. Naomi drove like someone who knew how to outrun shadows. Cole kept one hand braced on the dashboard, eyes scanning every passing vehicle, every intersection, every flicker of motion beyond the headlights. Maya sat in the back seat, the Polaroid clutched in her hand like a lifeline she wasn't sure she wanted. The image of her mother standing beside Elena had burned itself into her mind. The jacket, the hair, the smile that seemed to hide something fierce and frantic. A version of her mother she had never met. Her fingers tightened around the photograph. "She told me she barely had friends when she was younger," Maya whispered. "Said she grew up quiet. Said she wasn't the type who ran with trouble." "She wasn't lying," Naomi said without looking back. "People can be quiet and still get tangled with the wrong hands. Or the right ones, depending on perspective." Cole's tone was gentler. "Your mother didn't hide this to hurt you. She hid it to protect you." Maya stared at the passing blur outside the window. "Then why didn't she tell me who Elena was? Why hide her completely?" Cole hesitated before answering. Because knowing Elena meant inheriting her enemies. The storage facility appeared ahead. Charred skeletons of metal doors and twisted beams rising from the ashes like the ribs of a long-dead animal. A chain-link fence sagged where the fire had melted through it. Nature was slowly reclaiming the place, weeds pushing through cracks, vines curling over scorched walls. Naomi parked behind a cluster of abandoned shipping containers. "Cameras?" Cole asked. "Dead," she said, pulling a small scanner from her bag. They never replaced them after the fire. No grid coverage, no live feeds. "Meaning?" Maya asked. "Meaning we're blind, and so are they. Everyone here is guessing." Cole stepped out first, scanning the area. Maya followed, feet crunching on gravel and ash. The night air felt colder near the ruins, as if the fire still lingered in the ground beneath them. "Which units were theirs?" Maya asked. Naomi pointed toward the center row where the fire damage was most severe. EM and SC were next to each other, both in the basement section. "Basement?" Maya echoed. "That's because it collapsed. But the blueprint shows an alternate access point, a maintenance hatch behind the back wall." Cole nodded. "Then that's where we start." They circled the main building. Weeds tugged at their ankles, gravel shifted under their feet. Maya felt exposed, like a single spotlight followed them through the dark. Naomi knelt beside the far wall. "Found it." She brushed aside debris and popped open a half-melted metal latch. Beneath it lay a square panel, cracked but intact. Cole pulled out a compact flashlight. "Stay behind me," he told Maya. She nodded, though her pulse hammered in her ears. They descended into the hatch one by one, Naomi first, then Cole, then Maya. The latter led into darkness so complete it swallowed them. A faint scent of wet concrete and burned insulation lingered. Naomi's tablet glowed faintly, illuminating a narrow hallway beneath the ruins. The walls were blackened from heat, but the structure held. Barely. "It's like a tomb," Maya whispered. "That it is," Cole said. They walked slowly, careful to avoid loose debris. The basement opened into a long corridor lined with numbered doors. Some were bent or melted, others were covered in layers of soot. "Unit 13A," Naomi said. "That's Elena's." Cole approached it, running his hand over the scorched numbers. The lock mechanism had fused from the fire, but the door remained shut, stronger than it looked. Naomi handed him a crowbar. "Door's compromised but intact. Should break." Cole wedged the bar into the seam and pushed. The metal groaned, bending reluctantly. Maya held her breath as Cole strained, muscles tightening. Finally, crack! The door snapped open.
Inside, the unit was pitch black. Cole stepped in first with the flashlight. Boxes sat in misshapen piles, some half melted, others buried in debris. A shelf had collapsed, spilling charred papers and warped binders across the floor. "Careful," Naomi warned. "The floor is unstable." Maya's eyes scanned every corner. Something tugged at her, an unease she couldn't name. She moved toward a large fireproof case, its edges blackened, but not destroyed. "This looks important," she said. Cole helped her drag it out. The latch was warped, refusing to open. Maya's pulse spiked as she worked her fingers under the metal, but it wouldn't budge. Until it did. With a sharp metallic snap, the case opened. Inside was a single envelope. Edges crisp. Not burned. Protected. On the front, written in Elena's handwriting, "If anything happens to me, give this to Sarah." Maya's heart stopped. She traced her mother's name with trembling fingers. This was meant for her." Cole exhaled slowly. "Then whatever's inside changes everything." But before Maya could open the envelope, Naomi stiffened, head snapping toward the entrance of the basement corridor. Footsteps. Multiple. Heavy. Coming closer. Naomi whispered, voice razor thin. "They're here." And just like that, the air in the ruins turned to ice as Maya realized they weren't alone in the dark, and the hunters had found them at last.
Maya's fingers clenched around the envelope as the echo of footsteps multiplied, heavy boots striking broken concrete in uneven rhythms. Whoever was coming wasn't trying to hide. They wanted to be heard, wanted their approach to rattle the walls and crawl beneath the skin. Cole's hand shot up, signaling silence. Naomi extinguished her tablet screen instantly, plunging them back into a suffocating half-dark. Only Cole's narrow flashlight beam cut through the shadows. "Behind the shelf," he whispered. Maya ducked with Naomi into a narrow gap behind the fallen shelving unit. The air smelled of scorched paper, old smoke, and cold metal. Dust clawed at her throat, but she held still, every muscle tightening in anticipation. Cole's hand shot up, signaling silence. Naomi extinguished her tablet screen instantly, plunging them back into a suffocating half-dark. Only Cole's narrow flashlight beam cut through the shadows. "Behind the shelf," he whispered. Maya ducked with Naomi into a narrow gap behind the fallen shelving unit. The air smelled of scorched paper, old smoke, and cold metal. Dust clawed at her throat, but she held still, every muscle tightening in anticipation. Cole positioned himself at the opening of the storage unit, blade in hand, light angled downward so no silhouette revealed his position. Then the voices came. Too close. "Check every unit," a man growled. "They're down here. I saw movement." Another voice, lighter, almost amused. "Boss says she's worth more alive than dead, for now." Alive, not dead. For now. The words scraped across Maya's nerves. Cole shot her a look over his shoulder, calm, reassuring, and terrifying all at once. He pointed 2 fingers toward the floor, then curled his fist. "Stay down. Don't move." A flashlight beam swept across the corridor outside, dragging long shadows like claws across the floor. Maya pressed closer to the shelf, feeling Naomi's tense breathing beside her. Footsteps stopped directly outside their unit. Then, the door hinges creaked. A man stepped inside, boots crunching glass. His flashlight beam cut a sharp line across the wall, illuminating the melted boxes. "Place is trashed," he muttered. "Don't see—" He stopped. The beam hovered over the footprints they'd left in the dust. Fresh. Cole moved first. His arm snapped around the man's neck in a quiet chokehold, pulling him backwards before the stranger could scream. The flashlight clattered to the floor, rolling until it pointed straight at Maya's hiding spot. The man's struggle was brief, frantic, then still. Cole lowered him soundlessly. But Maya's relief lasted half a breath, because more voices filled the hallway. 3, maybe 4.
Naomi whispered. "We're outnumbered." Cole retrieved the fallen flashlight and killed it. His voice was barely audible. "On my signal, go out the back." Maya blinked. "Back? There is no—" "There's always a back," Naomi murmured. "These units were made for illegal storage. There's an exit tunnel." Cole pointed toward a cracked panel behind the fireproof case. A jagged line separated it from the rest of the plaster. "It leads to a maintenance shaft," he said quietly. "Elena told me about it once. We'll use it." Maya nodded shakily, clutching the envelope like a heartbeat. Voices grew louder. "Spread out. They couldn't have gotten far." Cole flattened himself against the wall, preparing for a distraction. Naomi began prying open the panel carefully, using a piece of bent metal as leverage. Maya held her breath. Then, a hollow boom rang out, echoing through the corridor. Someone had kicked open another unit. "We're running out of time," Naomi hissed. Cole closed his eyes for half a second, steadying himself. Then he whispered to Maya, "When you get through that tunnel, run until you see moonlight. Don't stop for anything. I'll be right behind you." Something in his tone made her chest seize. "Cole," she whispered, "you're not planning to fight them alone." He didn't answer. Instead, he stepped into the doorway and deliberately knocked over a large metal box. The crash reverberated through the basement. Instantly, footsteps thundered toward their location. "Now!" Cole barked. Naomi wrenched the panel open. Cold air gusted from the dark shaft beyond. Maya crawled into the narrow tunnel, Naomi right behind her. The moment her ankles crossed the threshold, she felt the walls vibrate. Someone had reached their unit. A gun cocked, a shout cracked through the air. Cole's voice, furious, determined, responded with a roar. "Go!" Maya scrambled forward on hands and knees. The tunnel wall scraped her backpack, snagged her jacket. Naomi pushed her from behind, the sound of chaos swelling behind them. A punch, a crash, a body hitting metal. Then another. "Cole!" Maya cried, but the tunnel swallowed her voice. They crawled faster, feet slipping on damp concrete. A cold draft brushed her face, moonlight ahead, the promise of escape. Maya burst out of the tunnel first, collapsing onto grass and gravel. Naomi crawled out next, gasping. But Cole wasn't behind them. Not yet. The night stretched silent. Too silent. Maya staggered to her feet, staring at the dark opening. Her heart slammed against her ribs, her breath shaking. He was supposed to be right behind them. Instead, the only sound rising from the tunnel was a single, sharp crash, followed by a voice she'd only heard once before. A voice that sliced through the night like a blade dipped in poison. "Well, looks like Ryder brought me a gift." Dante Ward had found him, and Maya realized with suffocating clarity that whatever Elena and her mother had run from, Cole was now facing alone.
The night pressed in heavy and breathless as Maya stared at the tunnel entrance, waiting, praying for Cole's silhouette to appear. But instead of his voice, instead of the scrape of his boots or the groan of stressed metal, Dante's words slithered up from the darkness. "Well," he said, that smug poison dripping through each syllable, "Ryder really did bring me a gift." Naomi grabbed Maya's wrist. "We have to move." "No," Maya choked out, trying to pull free. "They'll kill him." "They won't kill him yet," Naomi said, voice thin. "Dante doesn't waste leverage, but if we stay here, we're next." Maya's breath stuttered. The envelope Elena had addressed to her mother felt like a hot coal in her palm. She looked at the tunnel again, at the darkness that had swallowed Cole whole, and something inside her cracked, not with fear only, but with something sharper. Resolve. Where would Dante take him? Maya demanded. Naomi scanned the empty field, her mind working fast. He wouldn't risk staying underground with Ryder, too unpredictable. He'll move him somewhere Dante controls, somewhere secure. You know where, Maya insisted. Naomi hesitated. A shadow fell over them, the silent kind, the dangerous kind. Only then did Maya realize the hum in the air wasn't her own pulse. It was engines. Multiple. Naomi's eyes widened. They sent backup. The roar of motorcycles broke through the night, slicing through the quiet field. Headlights flicked on one by one, forming a half-circle of blinding beams around them. The earth trembled under the weight of approaching machines. Maya instinctively stepped back, pulling Naomi with her, but there was nowhere to go. The bikes surrounded them, engines idling low, men wearing leather cuts with a serpent coiled across the back, Dante's symbol, stared them down from behind tinted visors. "Stay behind me," Naomi whispered, though her voice carried its own fear. A single rider dismounted, tall, silent. The patch on his cut identified him as one of Dante's lieutenants, 3 fanged serpent heads etched in silver across his shoulder. He lifted his visor slowly. A scar carved down the left side of his face, jagged like lightning frozen mid-strike, his eyes, glassy and cold, fixed on Maya. "Hand over the envelope," he said. Maya's breath hitched. "No." He stepped closer, not rushed, confident. "You don't know what you're holding." "I know enough." "You know nothing," he said, voice flattening. "You don't even know why Dante wants Ryder alive." Maya clenched her jaw. "Because he wants to use him to get to Elena." The lieutenant stopped. Then he laughed, a hollow, humorless sound. "Elena's story is a pebble compared to the boulder your mother dropped." Maya's stomach twisted. "My mother didn't do anything." He tilted his head. "Didn't she?" Naomi stepped in front of Maya. "If you want the envelope, you're going to have to take it." 2 other bikers dropped from their motorcycles and closed the distance in seconds. Naomi swung first, quick, sharp, but one man caught her wrist and twisted. She gasped, dropping to one knee. "Stop!" Maya cried, stepping forward. The scarred lieutenant raised a hand, and the bikers froze. "The envelope," he repeated, "or she breaks a lot more than her wrist." Maya's pulse hammered. She felt the weight of the decision suffocating her, crushing her lungs. Give them the envelope, or give them nothing and watch Naomi get destroyed. Her voice trembled. "If I give this to you, what happens to Cole?" The lieutenant's expression didn't shift. "He's useful, for now. And me?" Another pause. "You become irrelevant." Maya swallowed. "Irrelevant meaning dead?" His silence was answer enough. Her fingers tightened around the envelope. "No, not like this. Elena hadn't protected this letter for years just so Dante's men could snatch it before anyone understood the truth. Her mother hadn't risked everything to bury the past, only for Maya to hand it over blindly." Maya lifted her chin. "No." The lieutenant blinked. "No?" "That's what I said." His eyes darkened. "Girl, this is not the time to—" Maya stepped forward, clutching the envelope to her chest. "If you kill us, Dante loses his leverage, and if you think I'm scared of dying, you should have been there when one of your people broke into my apartment." Silence rippled through the group. Then, the lieutenant's lips curled slightly. "She's got fire." "She's got a death wish," another biker growled. "Possibly," the lieutenant agreed, "but orders are orders. Bring the tech girl, we take the other one alive." Naomi shoved Maya backward. "Run!" But Maya didn't run, because the roar that cut through the field wasn't Dante's crew. It was deeper, louder, familiar. The lieutenant stiffened. "What the—" A second wave of motorcycles surged over the hill, heavy, thunderous, moving in formation. Naomi's breath caught. "Oh my God." Maya turned, shock rippling down her spine. It was a squad of riders in black and crimson cuts, not Dante's serpents, the Hell's Angels, and leading them, bloody, bruised, but upright, Cole Ryder,
The field exploded into motion as the angels charged forward and Dante's men scrambled to react. And Maya realized with a gut punch of terror and hope that whatever happened next would rewrite everything she thought she knew about loyalty, family, and the price of the truth.
The ground shook as the Hell's Angels stormed into the field, their engines blending into one rolling thunder. Dust spiraled into the air, grass flattened under the force of their tires. Dante's men tensed, forming a crooked semicircle as if bracing for an earthquake they knew they couldn't stop. Maya couldn't breathe, not when she saw Cole at the front of the formation, blood on his shirt, a bruise streaking across his jaw, one sleeve torn, but still upright, still fighting, still alive. The moment he spotted her, something in him sharpened, like his body remembered its purpose all at once. "Maya!" he shouted over the roar. "Get behind the angels!" He may as well have said, "Move or die." Naomi stumbled toward her, clutching her injured wrist, and together they sprinted toward the advancing bikers. Exhaust fumes and dust burned Maya's lungs, but she didn't stop. Not until Cole slid off his bike, moving toward her with a limp that made her chest ache. He grabbed her shoulders. "Are you hurt?" "No," she breathed, eyes stinging. "But they were going to take us. They said you—" "I know." His voice dropped to gravel. "I heard enough." Behind him, Dante's men readied their weapons. Bats, chains, knives, even a glint of something metallic that made Maya's stomach drop. The angels dismounted, forming a wall of bodies and leather. These weren't the caricatures people whispered about. They moved like soldiers, each one aligned with the others, each one ready to bleed beside the man next to him. Dante Ward stepped out from the shadows of the tunnel, flanked by two of his lieutenants. He looked different in the open air, sharper, more controlled, a predator comfortable on any terrain. "Well," Dante called out, smiling like a man welcoming guests to dinner, "this is quite the reunion. Ryder, I'm touched." Cole's jaw twitched. "You don't touch anything that's mine." "And the girl?" Dante tilted his head, eyes glinting. "Is she yours?" Cole didn't hesitate. "She is under my protection." Dante barked a laugh. "Protection? You think you can protect her from truth?" He pointed at Maya. "She has something Elena stole from me, and her mother helped hide it." Maya's throat tightened. "You knew my mother?" He grinned. "Oh, I knew Sarah Carver very well. She was one of Elena's closest friends, loyal to a fault, until she wasn't." "What does that mean?" Maya demanded. "It means your mother ran, just like Elena. But unlike Elena, Sarah had something worth trading, something valuable enough that I let her walk away alive." Cole stiffened. "You're lying." "Am I?" Dante asked, spreading his arms. "Ask her. Ask why she changed her name. Ask why she moved every time someone new started asking questions." The words slammed into Maya's chest with the force of a punch. Her mother, changing names, moving houses, switching numbers. None of it had ever felt like paranoia, but now it fell into a pattern she couldn't ignore. "My mother isn't a liar," Maya said through clenched teeth. "I didn't say she lied. I said she hid things. There's a difference." Naomi whispered. "He's twisting you, Maya. He's known for it." Dante heard her. He smiled wider. "Oh, Naomi. Still working for Ryder? You could have done better." Naomi flipped him off with her good hand. "Still ugly. Still talk too much." A murmur of amusement rippled through the angels. Dante's smile dropped. Cole stepped forward. "You're outnumbered, Ward. Walk away." "You think numbers matter?" Dante asked. "You think your little rescue was a surprise? I tracked the angels the moment you crawled out of that tunnel." As if on cue, more engines sounded, farther away, but closing in. Maya couldn't tell whose. They didn't roar like Cole's crew, nor hum like Dante's serpents. A third group? No. The tone was wrong. The pattern was wrong. Dante lifted a hand. His men stepped aside, and from the darkness beyond the field, pickup trucks rolled forward, each one packed with men armed not with bats or knives, but rifles. Cole inhaled sharply. "Dante, this wasn't part of our world." Dante shrugged. "Your world's changing. You left, I adapted." The angels shifted, each one instinctively shielding Maya and Naomi. Maya clutched the envelope tighter. Dante saw it. "Give that to me," Dante said low, dangerous, "and I'll let Ryder walk away." Maya shook her head. "You're lying." "Probably," Dante said with a smirk. Cole's hand brushed Maya's arm, barely a touch, but enough to make her turn to him. "Maya," Cole whispered, "whatever you do, don't give him that letter." She saw something in his eyes then, a depth of connection he had never dared to name, and a fear deeper than anything she had seen in him, a fear of losing her. Dante snapped his fingers, and the first rifle lifted. The air stilled. Grass stopped moving. Engines stopped rumbling. Even the night held its breath. And Maya realized the envelope she held wasn't just a secret. It was leverage. It was history. It was the match that could ignite a war. But before she could even decide whether to hide it or run with it, a single spotlight swung across the field from the direction of the abandoned access road, illuminating a figure none of them expected to appear, a figure Maya hadn't seen in days. Her mother, Sarah Carver. And she wasn't alone.
A hush washed over the field as the spotlight froze on the woman standing in the middle of the abandoned access road. Dust curled around her boots, her coat whipped in the wind. Her face, older, thinner, marked with exhaustion and long-buried fear, was unmistakable. Sarah Carver. Maya's breath collapsed inside her chest. "Mom?" Sarah didn't answer her. She didn't answer anyone. Instead, she kept walking. Slow, steady, deliberate. Not timid, not shaking, not small. The woman approaching the war zone wasn't the mother who baked late-night cookies and left sticky notes on the fridge. She wasn't the woman who avoided confrontation and kept the world at arm's length. This Sarah walked like someone who had been hunted before and had survived it. Dante's eyes widened with something Maya had never seen in him before. Unease. Well, look who crawled out of the grave. Sarah ignored him. She walked straight toward Maya, stopping only when she was close enough that Maya could see the glimmer of tears threatening in her eyes. Heat flooded Maya's face, anger, relief, betrayal, confusion, all fighting for space. "Mom." Sarah whispered, voice trembling. "Maya, give me the envelope." Maya held it tighter, almost reflexively. "Mom, you were going to tell me nothing? Ever?" Sarah closed her eyes, pain flickering across her face. "I wanted you far from this. You were never supposed to be pulled in. But you lied. About Elena. About everything." Sarah opened her eyes. "I didn't lie. I stayed silent so you'd be safe." "Safe from what?" Maya demanded. Before Sarah could answer, Dante stepped forward with the beam of a rifle spotlight stretching his shadow across the field. Dante drawled, "If you came back to negotiate, you're too late. You should have stayed gone." Cole shifted in front of Maya instinctively, but Sarah lifted a hand, stopping him. "No," she said quietly. "This ends tonight." Dante laughed once, sharp, mocking. "What ends? You think you can fix what you broke? You think that envelope gives you leverage?" Maya looked between them. "What's in here?" she whispered. Sarah hesitated. Then softly, "Proof." The word dropped like a hammer. Proof. Proof of what? Dante spoke first, voice tight. "Don't you dare say it." Sarah stepped closer to Maya, her voice barely above a breath. Proof that Dante killed his own brother. The field went still. Even the wind stopped moving. Maya blinked. "What?" Dante's jaw clenched so hard a muscle in his cheek twitched. His lieutenant stiffened. Cole sucked in a breath. Naomi swore under her breath. Sarah continued, louder now. "Proof that Dante murdered Victor Ward and then blamed a rival crew. Elena disappeared to keep that truth buried." Maya stared at the envelope as if it weighed 1,000 pounds. Inside was evidence of a murder. Evidence that could collapse Dante's empire. Evidence Elena died protecting. Evidence Maya's mother had risked everything to hide. Dante snapped.
Enough! His voice cracked through the night like a whip. He lunged forward, gripping the barrel of a rifle as if he might fire it himself, eyes blazing with a fury that looked almost unhinged. You think anyone will believe you? You think a dead woman's letter can take me down? You think she knew anything? Elena was weak. And you, he pointed to Naomi, you were always predictable, running, hiding. Naomi didn't flinch. You're terrified. That's where you want that envelope. Dante bared his teeth. I want it because I should have finished you when I had the chance. Cole stepped closer to Dante, fists clenched. Touch her, and you don't walk away. Dante smirked. You're outgunned, Ryder. Cole's eyes hardened, not outwilled. Rifles lifted, engines vibrated, the night held its final breath. And Maya felt it, felt the shift, the way all choices collapse into one moment. The envelope pulsed in her hand with the promise of destruction and freedom. Her mother reached for it. Maya, Sarah whispered, give it to me. Let me end this. No, Dante snarled, lifting his gun. Give it to me, or she dies. Every head turned. Every biker froze. The spotlight swung wildly as tension stretched like a frayed wire. Maya stood between them, one step to her mother, one step to Cole, one step to Dante, death etched behind his eyes. Her pulse thundered. She hadn't asked for this, hadn't asked for secrets, hadn't asked for enemies, hadn't asked for history to bleed into her life, but the letter was in her hand, and every path depended on her next breath. Naomi whispered behind her, voice almost broken, Maya, choose. And just as Maya opened her mouth, a single gunshot exploded through the night and someone in the field dropped to their knees, sending the fragile balance shattering into chaos.
The gunshot split the night into two worlds, before and after. Maya froze. Everyone froze. A body dropped to its knees, hands clutching the dirt. For one agonizing second, she couldn't tell who it was. Her vision blurred, her breath vanished, her pulse hammered so loudly she couldn't hear the echo of the shot anymore. Then, the figure pitched forward. Sarah! Her mother! Maya screamed. The world around her dissolved into chaos, shouting, boots pounding the ground, engines revving, weapons raised. But all she saw was her mother collapsing. All she heard was her own heartbeat shattering as she sprinted toward her. No, Mom! Cole reached her first, skidding across the dirt and catching Sarah before she hit the ground. Blood seeped between his fingers. Maya dropped beside them, hands trembling violently. Mom, please stay with me. Sarah gasped, voice thin, strained. I'm okay. Baby, I'm okay. She wasn't. Maya could see that instantly. The bullet had torn through her shoulder, dangerously close to her collarbone, but not fatal. Not yet. Cole dug into his vest and pressed a bandage against the wound. Dante didn't aim to kill. He aimed to silence. Dante's furious shout cut through the chaos. Get the envelope! More gunshots cracked the air, this time from the Angels, returning fire. Dante's men scrambled, firing wildly. The field erupted into a storm of light and sound, shadows lunging like beasts in the headlights. Naomi pulled Maya backward. Stay low! Move! But Maya couldn't leave her mother. She clutched the envelope like a lifeline, choking on fear and rage and guilt. Sarah reached up weakly, touching her cheek. Maya, listen to me. Don't talk. You need help. No, Sarah insisted, gripping the fabric of Maya's jacket. Open it. Maya hesitated. The ground shook from explosions of light, engines revving. Someone yelled Cole's name, but all she heard was her mother's trembling breath. Maya, Sarah whispered, it's time. Hands shaking, Maya tore the seal. Inside the envelope were three things: a tiny flash drive labeled VW, a faded journal page in Elena's handwriting, a sworn statement signed by Sarah Carver. Maya's eyes scanned the page, her mother's handwriting frantic, ink smudged. Elena didn't betray Dante.
Victor discovered Dante was laundering money through stolen medical shipments. Dante panicked. He confronted Victor. Victor didn't survive. Dante staged the scene. Elena found proof, this drive. I helped her hide it. If you're reading this, Maya, I'm sorry, but this needed to end with you. Not him. Not me. Maya's breath caught. Her mother had been protecting Elena's truth, protecting Victor's memory, protecting her. And she'd kept that secret alone. Until now. Dante spotted her reading and roared, "Stop her!" But he wasn't fast enough. Naomi lunged forward, grabbing the flash drive. "I can upload this to every news outlet in the state." Dante's face twisted in fury. "You do, and everyone you care about dies." Cole stepped between Naomi and Dante, fists clenched. "You won't touch anyone ever again." The angel surged forward with him, forming a crimson and black shield around Maya, Naomi, and Sarah. Dante's men faltered, some stepping back, uncertain. This wasn't a brawl anymore. This was the moment truth detonated. Maya stood, holding the letter high. Dante Ward murdered his own brother, and Elena died protecting the proof. Dante charged toward her with a snarl, but he didn't reach her. Cole intercepted him, slamming him to the ground with a force that rattled the earth. Dante twisted, knife flashing, but Cole blocked the strike and pinned him, rage radiating off him like heat. "You hunted innocent women. You tried to kill her mother. You blamed Elena for your crimes." Dante spat blood. "You're a hypocrite, Ryder. You left the angels. I left so I could sleep at night. But I'll make an exception for you." Police sirens wailed in the distance, louder, closer. Naomi had already hit send on the upload. Screens across the city were flashing the files, the letter, the confession. There was nothing left to hide. The serpents saw it. They dropped their weapons. Some ran. Others sank to their knees. The war ended before the police even arrived. Dante finally stopped struggling. His voice broke into a whisper laced with disbelief. "She was supposed to stay gone." But Elena's truth had survived, because Sarah had protected it, because Cole had fought for it, because Maya had carried it. Maya knelt beside her mother again, tears streaking her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I wanted to spare you." Maya held her tightly. "You didn't spare me. You raised me to be strong enough to survive the truth." Cole knelt beside them, exhausted, bruised but alive. "Ambulance is on the way," he said softly. Maya met his eyes, grateful, relieved, changed. And as paramedics rushed in, police swarmed the field, and the angels stood guard around them, Maya realized something profound. The past didn't break her. The truth didn't destroy her. And the world she'd never asked to be part of had finally stopped chasing her. Because she had faced it. Because she had chosen to. Because she wasn't alone anymore. And with the dawn rising over the far hills, Maya understood that endings weren't always the end. Sometimes they were the beginning of something stronger, safer, and finally, free.